So, yeah, other than that, beautiful here on the West Coast. How's your week? Are you still hoping everything's going to crash so your gold can go to the moon? Well, I'm telling you, I don't think it will. In fact, I'll share with you the economic update, the numbers, the data, as well as I got a graph here to share with you. Trump's economics and just how positive it may be to the employment report. Now, I'll get into that later here, but you may recall how I even spoke about my personal experience in the construction sector and got a feel for the overall economy because of it. Anyways, that's for later. Welcome back. One of the big changes you may notice if you look down below in the Show More tab of this video, the technical analysis courses are no longer available for $599. So the only one who can still get that, or I should say the only ones, are those of you who have sent me emails in the last probably 2 weeks on this, and you had some business to take care of. Oh, there's various reasons. I'm not even going to get into them. Some of you are just haven't heard back. Whatever the case may be, you made that initial contact. That's still open to those of you. I'll still stick by my word. It's $599. Anyone else who's new here, it's now $999 to learn technical analysis, to take the course, the video set that I'm offering, as well as join the trade room every morning if you want. You got a 1-year free membership to the trade room where we scalp the morning stocks. We day trade, I should say. Some of us scalp. Other than that, you get to get my own personal opinions on any stocks, your portfolio. I'll share with you my opinions on your portfolio, give you the bottom on gold and silver, share with you any trade ideas when they come along. It's one of the things I'm going to try and work at a little bit more because I actually have people that are paying me now for these trade ideas, not specifically just for the trade ideas, but that's one of the things they're hoping for. So aside from my regular, bottom of the market, top of the market, it's going to crash, gold's going to here, yada, 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 all that other stuff. I'm going to try and spend a little bit more time this year in 2017 identifying opportunities when stocks are extremely oversold or bought. And in fact, when we get into the charting part of this show tonight, I'll go over one of the stocks that was just mentioned to me. I think it was on Monday's show 2 days ago. I'll go over that stock. One of the traders in my trade room, the new members, he's got it on his radar, and I believe I'll get into it later on. But essentially, I think it's potentially a good play for some of you that want to roll the dice, and because the market, nothing is guaranteed. In fact, I was even saying to those of you that are expecting or hoping or wishing that gold and silver blast off to the moon, some of you have been falling into that web-bought $600 crackpot silver expectations, Max Kaiser, same thing, going around telling people buy silver, crash JP Morgan, and silver will go to $500 an ounce. I've been out here since 2009, so I share with you my own personal experience from being out here and the mouthpieces that are, as you can see on the right-hand side, the Silver Shills and Disinformation Gang. So if you don't like hearing all the shit and shenanigans that have been taking place on YouTube since I've been here since October 2009 is when I started my first YouTube channel, Connecting Dots 1, and I used to pump out gold and silver, specifically silver videos, once to twice per day. And I did that nonstop till about, late June of 2011 when the Fukushima meltdown took place. And then by 2012, my YouTube channel had been taken down. So here I am fresh at it under Silver Gold Man, but I'm going to keep sharing with you my own personal insight, and hopefully I'll wake up some of you, and at some point, you'll want to get off that banana boat. I don't know. I don't want to call you anyone names. It's unfortunate because so many people have joined the trade room or my trade ideas or taken a gold and silver bottom offer that I'm offering. And the emails that they share with me are so identical in theme. The theme that comes out is overall just like that. That silver jerk Silver circle jerk of corruption. You're so right, Silver Gold Man. I'm like, yes, sir. I couldn't get it out there. He said, they took me, they fleeced me, all kinds of stuff. I've heard it nonstop how people have just fallen into that fear mongering trap, and it's unfortunate. Anyways, sorry to digress again before we get into the show. It's not going to be a long one here, folks. Just got a couple items to go over with, and then we'll finish off with some charting. And if you got any stocks that you'd like me to take a look at, hang out till we get to the end of the show. I'll go to the comments. Don't bother putting your stock up now. I'm not going to, it'll force me to have to go look all the way back and get into it. I'd rather wait till I get up to the comment section. Other than that, the shows here are posted in this thread at Connecting Dots One. I did secure the domain name silvergoldman.com. The website is non-existent. Don't sign up there if you want to learn the technical analysis or to take the trade idea offer or take the silver gold bottom offer. You got to send me an email up here, folks. If you take a look at the top of the screen, cd1@connectingdots1.com. I haven't opened a official Silver Gold Man website, and I don't have all I own is the domain name at this point. So the shows are there, as you saw a few minutes ago. We're here Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Excuse me. I had 2 cups of juice here. That's why. Anyways, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 4 p.m. Pacific time, 5 p.m. Mountain Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. So let's get into it right off the get-go, the 2017 economic calendar. We had JOLTS here on Tuesday, and today the EIA Petroleum Status Report. So let's go take a look at JOLTS first. JOLTS, well, it's all about the data. And in fact, I'm going to pull out here after I'm done reading this, but the data and charts. I love charting. I didn't know nothing about charting, when I first got into this in December of 2014 after kind of like a really sad Christmas that year, and all had to do with lack of forgiveness, essentially. And we often need that big jolt in our life, to really get us onto a new path, a new direction, and that's essentially what took place in my life. December 2014, December 24th, 2014 was a jolt. It's seriously a big jolt. And I embarked from there on into learning how to read charts. So hopefully you'll enjoy the next chart I have, and it looks promising for the jobs and not very good for your gold and silver, okay? Even I just looked on YouTube again, and all I hear is nothing but fear-mongering. It's to collapse, blah, 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 blah. Sell your Trump trades. All right, so as you can see, if you haven't read already, job openings total a very solid 5.5 million in data for November, up slightly from a revised October, and right in line with trend. The number of hirings also remained in trend at 5.2. And hold on a second. Is this correct? Yeah, I guess so. Sorry. I just couldn't understand why this is so behind here for some reason. That was kind of weird. Let me just take a look at this again. Yeah, I'm on the right date. January, yes, 2017, because I had the other map, so I thought maybe I may have made a mistake and opened the other map. But no, this is the story here. The number of hirings also remain in trend at 5.2 million and still very well below openings. A mismatch that first appeared about 2 years ago, the lag in hiring, as well as the wide separation between the number of openings and the number of unemployed at 7.4 million in November. Employment report hint at a skills gap in the labor market, that employers are having a hard time finding the right people. Now, if you've been watching my shows, we've been hearing this over and over and over a lot here as we've been going over this, the unemployment sector at JOLTS. Every time I go over this data, it's the same thing here. It's not that there's a lack of jobs, just having a hard time, finding the right people. Now, as far as Trump economics, and I'm not going to play with you the whole segment that I listened to from where is it? I can't remember. MSNBC, I think, is what they were kind of ridiculing again. Or how the media is. Every time they have an opportunity to bash this guy, I mean, when I bash him for a good reason. Okay, I don't know if you heard me bash him before, but he was talking about emptying the swamp. when he turned around and tried to hire the swamp to be part of his, his team. He spoke about promising, many times going after the Clinton Foundation and, having her under investigation. He turned around and he backed down on that one and said he was going to leave it up to other nations to go after her. I went after him right away. I'm like, hold on a second. These are two of your big campaign promises, buddy. I've listened to all your damn rallies from up here in Canada. I'm here to tell you need to trump it up a little bit because you're full of bullshit at this point. I don't trust you. I've said that before. If I see, I reserve the right to change my mind, essentially. So have I changed my mind? Well, I have to admit there's an ongoing battle here with Trump. I'm not going to get into all of it. Most recently, you may have heard that the Global Awards, we had Meryl Streep up there trying to make fun of him and, or not make fun of him, just really drag him through the mud, essentially, and take a situation that happened with a reporter on the 9/11 story and flip it all around, trying to say that Trump was making fun of the reporter, mocking him for being a disabled reporter because one of his hands is disabled, so it's bent downwards. But if you go look, I've looked at the video that debunked this whole story of Trump making fun of the person because they're disabled. You get to see that Trump has used that very same stance and the eyes rolling and stuff and when he was kind of ridiculing other people who weren't doing their job properly, in the exact same scenario as this reporter who suddenly was trying to back down out of his original story on writing up on 9/11, how people from across the river in New York, where there was a bunch of people that were dancing around on the rooftops and celebrating as the Twin Towers were crashing. He's one of the reporters from CNN, if I'm not mistaken, who had reported on the story. We have official story from the police. We also have the FBI that investigated the entire story. They even said, the article I was reading or watching, how the FBI had commented that the entire building was nothing but what did they call it? A home of no, it wasn't a home. It was a tower of suspects of something like that, implying that the entire apartment building was loaded with potential terrorists. And yes, they were on top of the roofs, dancing around and celebrating and cheering as the Twin Towers were crashing. And Trump was absolutely correct about that. But the news flipped it on him. And then Meryl Streep at the Global Awards took that story, which was a lie, and then tried to call out Trump. It was just disgusting. Anyway, so on that basic fact that they keep nonstop attacking him, in fact, Trump, if I'm not mistaken, just today has said that he's not even going to deal with CNN anymore. If I'm not mistaken, this is what I've heard. He wasn't even going to deal with them anymore. He's sick and tired of their policies, how they twist stories. Anyways, back to the Trump economics. Aside from that, if he sticks with other past campaign promises, and that was about bringing money home, renegotiating NAFTA, yada, yada, yada. You may have heard me go over all the list in my previous shows. I'm not going to name them all. So if he sticks with those plans, we're all right. But I wasn't too impressed with the first two because, like I said, I watched all of his rallies, and I saw people cheer every time he talked about having an investigation launched against the Clintons. You should have saw them cheer. Lock her up, they kept repeating. So yeah, very disgusted, to keep that theme alive throughout his entire campaign, and only suddenly within a week of, not even becoming he's only president-elect at this point, and he's already backed down on that campaign promise. I don't like that. But you know what? If you're going to pull out doozies like that, you kind of want to get them out of the way right from the get start. That's where I'm like, wow, what a great political move. Because honestly, if there's any shit in the back of your truck and you want to get it out, dump it right now before you start the race. You're darn right. Anyways, other than that, if he sticks with the campaign promises, and there's a whole lot, It's going to bring a whole big boost into the USA. I've said that before. I live over in Canada. I'm over here in Canada, and I kind of hope we will get that boost unless he backs down out of anything. Anyways, in this story tonight here, what they were trying to make fun of him is that, because Trump has mentioned about there's 96 million Americans apparently out of work. So they're pulling out this graph, which, by the way, I'll be up front with you. I don't really believe that the graph is 100% correct. I think the overall numbers is higher than what it was. Everything is higher, even probably what the numbers were in 2007. However, having said that, I noticed myself, even this past summer, I was telling you folks, I decided I would start looking for a little bit of work here and there, working 3-4 hours during the day because I had a lot of spare time. And I noticed the high influx of, I was looking specifically in doing drywall repair and painting new homes and repaints. And I'd noticed the high influx of jobs. And I decided to work for myself. So I'd put my own ads up. And what ended up happening is I had companies contacting me when they saw the type of work, what I'm able to do, my experience, whatever, not that it's superb or anything, but, I've got, it's quite varied. And the fact that I could handle an airless sprayer, that's one of the big things I have. I own my own airless sprayer. So anyways, long story short, that was the big one there. But regardless, my point is that I've put ads out before looking for work in the past. And I've never had not one company, but I think over the course of the summer, I had 5 different companies contact me, maybe 6, maybe even 7, to be honest with you, because I had a lot of phone calls. But long story short, even the amount of money that I was asking for cash, I was asking for $35 an hour cash because they were having a hard time finding painters. And that was a clear indication that the economy, even here in Canada, on my small little petite island, was actually getting a boost. There was a boost in the construction because other than that, it's a nice place to live and beautiful sunshine. There's usually no problem having painters out here. There's a dime a dozen. Anyways, the graph here, what I'm showing you is that after the 2008 crash, you can see here the unemployment, boom, went way up, right? And now as he's taking office, they bitched about, Obama's recovery was the slowest recovery in the history of recoveries. Nonetheless, if the numbers, unless they've all, which they may have played with them, to be honest with you, no doubt about it. The fact is, things have gotten better, have they not? I don't know if things are worse in your town, but I know over here in Canada that the jobs are here. It's a little bit better for sure than it was in the bottom of 2008, 2009, when things are really tough, and even in 2010. And long story short, kind of that's what happened to silver. When I started getting on there talking about silver, my silver went up, and ever since then it's gone the opposite direction. So at this point, if I'm correct, unless Trump backs down and everything, or we magically fall into some type of war, which I don't think that's going to happen. I think Trump's stimulus plan is really going to affect the unemployment rate. And you guys have something to look forward, as well as Canadians. And your JOLTS numbers are already telling you that things are already looking good. All right, next one up is the EIA Petroleum Status Report. It says here crude oil inventories rose 4.1 million barrels in January 6th week to 483.1 million, up 7.1% from last year at this time. That's the important part at this time, but we'll see here. We got better numbers at the end. It says here product inventories also increased substantially, with gasoline up 5 million barrels to 240.5 million, which is 13.5% higher than last year's level at this time, while the distillates rose 8.4 million barrels to 170 million, which is 2.7% above the level last year. Crude oil imports increased sharply in the week, though, averaging 9.1 million barrels per day, up by 1.9 million barrels per day. Imports over the last 4 weeks averaged over 8.2 million barrels per day, 6.2% more than in the same period last year. There you go. So we had higher imports here, and refineries operated at 93.6% of their operable capacity in the week, with gasoline production rising to an average of 9.7 million barrels per day. Distillate production remained stable at 5.3 million barrels per day. On the demand side, that's the important part. Total products supplied over the last 4 weeks averaged 19.5 million barrels per day, up 1.3% from the same period a year ago. Of this amount, supplied gasoline averaged 8.9 million barrels per day, up 0.7% from last year, while distillate supplied averaged 3.6 million barrels, up 7.5%. Yeah, from last year. That's the important part. So demand is up. I'm telling you, this is looking good. And if you may recall, I've said I'm bullish on what sector? I don't know if you're listening, but I said I'm energy. I'm bullish on the energy. Everything that Trump, unless he lies about it, backs down, I'm bullish on the energy sector, I've said. Even, believe it or not, the uranium. Okay, what happened in the stock market? We'll take a look at that one here later on. But yeah, one of the ladies was asking me, what do you think about Uri? And I said, I think we had a big day yesterday. I would wait for consolidation. And oddly enough, one of the other traders in our trade room who wasn't present yesterday, he told me the same things. Yeah, no, I saw it yesterday, and I was thinking the same thing. I'll wait for a pullback this morning, and then maybe at some point I'll have a better entry. Well, yeah, Uri never looked back. So what can I say? We can't get them all right all the time, but at some point when you latch on to the right one, it'll pay off. So as you can see today here, guys, overall, we had a green day. Wait till we get into the charts. I've been big upon, I've been really big about the Dow theory. Remember how I keep saying here, I'm looking for new highs in the industrial and the Dow transports. Well, you can see here, it's looking good. I mean, I want to, take again a moment to point out why I look for these cheaper stocks. I know people have said, well, yeah, they're risky. Yeah, you're right. But, you set your stop loss. You got to, decide what you're willing to take as a loss. And when you throw in the technical analysis of it, aside from putting just a number on, say, well, I'm willing to accept a loss of $250, nothing more than that. You don't even need to go that. You don't even need to set that number. You throw in the technical analysis part of it, and you can say, okay, well, if it breaks below this level here, which I believe is a support, then I'm out of this play. I don't want to play it anymore. It's that simple. So the problem is you got to set the stop loss. And in my case, I've now finally decided that I'm not going to let my finger dictate when it's time to jump out of the trade. Because I'm one of those guys, it would, drop a little bit. I'm like, oh, geez, I'm down $40. Well, hold on a second. I'll just wait for that next candle to see where it goes. Then the next candle, we went up a few cents. And then I go back down. Forget it. When it doesn't go your way and you decide the trade is done, cut the umbilical cord, let that baby fall. You don't want to be part of it. So again, today, the reason I'm saying this is just look at these stocks. This thing, closed today at $6.82. Yesterday was trading at what? At a little over $1. $1.15, $1.20. In fact, look at all the big winners today. Look at the value of what they are worth. These are all cheap stocks, so don't let people tell you, and I'm saying this because there are some people on YouTube that make fun of the penny stocks, and these are stocks that are valued under $5. So any stock that apparently is under $5, it's referred to as a penny stock. Well, the reason I like the penny stocks is because your highest returns are always going to be with stocks that are usually, guess what? Penny stocks. Because it's easier for a stock that's $1 for it to jump up to $3 than it is for a stock that's $100 to jump up to $300 in a day. Does that make any sense to you? I hope so, because I've been saying it for a long time. And if you may notice here, Myos is what? Drugs, generic. And then I've been telling you folks too, this is what I like. The penny stocks, I've been noticing that the healthcare sector, even though it's red here overall, you can see on the left here, I mean on the far right, the red square. Yeah, the healthcare sector, as I happen to mention, I believe that's going to be green. It goes red, whatever. There are still some opportunities out there. And as I will get into the NVAX, which is the stock that was just mentioned to me a little in the last show, I believe that's another opportunity. So I'm not, a stockbroker. I'm not a financial advisor. I don't receive any funds from any of these companies. I'm just a regular average guy who taught himself technical analysis and try to get a bunch of traders together to scan, because I've got to be honest with you, that's where the gift is spending time in scanning. It's a rough, dirty job. A lot of people don't like it. But that's really where it's at. You start scanning and you will find these winners. And I'll show you when we get into the next stock, NVAX, how you can limit your losses. If you're wrong, well, then you take a little loss. But if you're right, I'll show you just with a one stock NVAX where this is most likely going to end up as she closes the gap. One of the big things, though, if you get into these pharmaceutical drugs, pay attention to the company, do a little bit of back-end research and find out, do they just have this one drug that they're trying to push through to the FDA and get it approved? And is it only in phase 1 of its clinical trials? Because it's phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 clinical trials. So, depending on what phase it's at, and if the pharmaceutical company, does it only have one lineup drug that it's working up, or does it have a fallback drug that's maybe already approved, and then it's already has, aside from the one that it's trying to push through to phase 3 or whatever in its approval with the FDA, does it have other drugs that it's also in the pipeline that they're working on? This is important. So if you're going to do a little research, if you're going to get involved, depending on the level of money you're getting into, I'll share with you someone that had joined my trade room in 2015. I've said that before, a great majority of the people that take my technical analysis course, they do not show up in my trade room, unfortunately. They all have full-time jobs. They just wanted to learn how to read charts. And I'll share with you what one of the guys had said with me in 2015 when I started speaking about these penny stocks. He said, SGM, I believe what you're saying. He says, because my brother, was it his brother-in-law? Regardless, his brother or his brother-in-law was a kind of like a bush pilot here up in northern Canada. He went up to Nunavut and other Arctic areas and up north. And one day we'll say his brother, I believe it was his brother, was flying the CEO of Tim Hortons. They were opening up a new Tim Hortons in I believe it was Nunavut, if I'm not mistaken. And his brother had an opportunity to speak with the CEO and asked him, do you have any stock tips that you can maybe, send my way, or any tips on how to make some good money? And the CEO turned to him and he says, if I were you, every check, I would take $100 and go spend it on penny stocks. And that, my friends, is a good idea. You don't have to load the boat. Do you understand how if you spread your money around, a lot of these stocks will end up popping at various times? And I'm not saying they all will, but a good majority of them will, especially when they have, research in the pipeline. That's very important. So do your little research on that, and I'm going to progress on. Sorry for digressing this one, but I just want to give you a little bit of insight. If you're deciding to go down that healthcare factor, I've shared in one of my previous shows how even Jim Carrey, the actor Jim Carrey, had mentioned in recently, or what was it, a year ago, 9 months ago, great opportunity in these small healthcare stocks, because if they come across, if the numbers are good, or I should say the trial results are good, the stock always pops. The big one is when you get a no. When it's a negative number, the stock drops. That's, I'm telling you, don't load the boat with them, because you may be sorry if it doesn't work in your favor. However, if you look on the other hand, you bought a little bit of Mayos, $1, you would have been laughing. This one here, $2, you went up to 372. You're doing pretty good. Same here. It's Yuri, okay, guys, in the trade room, Mike specifically, 98 cents, mid-November, folks. You see mid-November how this thing went down? It did a hammer. The following day was a green day, even though it went and hit the bottom of the hammer, ended up rising up. And I told him on both days, I think it was Mike and Saj or somebody else was in the trade room, and I was telling them, if I were you guys, I would be buying myself some uranium at 98 cents. This is going to go somewhere, I believe. And I pulled out a MACD divergence, and that's what's going to lead us into NVAX before I get into the charting. All right, so I see we've got an active chat already. Welcome, folks. I'll get into that later on. All right, so I got to hurry this up here, folks. I got something lined up here. So NVAX, this is the stock that the gentleman was speaking to me about. So I can't remember NVAX's specific story. If I'm not mistaken, I think they were working on the Zika virus vaccine. I'm not 100% sure. So what I'm about to share with you has nothing to do about the fundamentals, but more about the technical analysis aspect of this stock, okay? Hope you understand that. So if you decide to get involved, go check it out, find out what's happening with this company, what made it collapse on this day on September 15th, 2016. Something happened, okay? Yeah, the stock doesn't just drop from $8.49 and collapse all the way down here to $1.16. Something happened. So yeah, she got a hell of a haircut. Boom. And that's a what? It's a hangman indicating a bottom. Boom, boom, boom. So it picked right back up and yeah, got plugged up here. And now you can see the green bands, they've been tightening up as time has progressed on to the point now where the green bands are so darn tight, you're wondering what's going to go on. I don't know, but I'll tell you something. I've been looking at these charts for a long time, and every time the band tightens up for a long period of time and it gets really tight, the next move that happens is going to be a doozy. It's not going to be a small move. It's going to be a big move. At this point, I don't want to say it's going to go up to 446, but that's probably where my first target would be. Okay, just between you and I. That's where my first target would be, okay? She's going to go up. I'm not saying she is. If I was to play with this, this is where my first target would be. Obviously, she's going to run into some problems here when she gets back up to around probably $1.70, and then she's going to have some other issues around here. This 230, I believe. But other than that, I think she'll blow the horn right off these things, all depending, I'd have to go look at the stock or the company to find out a little bit more. But I do know that without even knowing what the fundamentals are, simply looking at many charts, I will tell you that when the stock funnels into this tightened up area, that the next move is not going to be petite. Ça va être une grosse tutun. Oh yeah, bada boom, bada bing, up to here, and tutun's going to end up here at $8. You don't believe me? You just watch Tutun. I have a feeling that's where my gross Tutun is going to go. And other than that, if I was to, take a gamble on it, so to speak, let's say, because today I like this. She went up and she tested it, and we're still in that tight band. I mean, honestly, I like this. So much so that I will go put my money where my mouth is, okay? Tomorrow, I will be looking at this stock, and I will be looking for an entry, and I seriously hope this is a bottom. I just sent an email to one of the traders in the trade room because he was thinking about getting it in. I think it was already down to about here, around $1.20, $1.42 this morning, and he asked me, sent me an email, Silver Mine, do you think maybe I should get an NVAX? And I said, at this point, I don't like it. I don't like a guy. I would rather, two ways to play on this. When you wait for the bottom, better entry, or I told him, I said, wait for the breakout of that high of 147, okay? Because the previous day we had a doji. It's a moment of indecision, and the golden rule is you wait for the following day to find out, to give you an indication where this market is going. Well, the following day, what did she do? She ended up doing another, double top, and she's pulled right back. And where she fell back is important. This is what I sent to him in email. I said, listen, this thing has fallen right back down to that 50-day moving average, which is the blue line, along with the green dotted line, which is the 20-day moving average, because every one of these candles here is 20 days. It's the middle of the Bollinger Band, the 20-day moving average. Stochastic is up. RSI is up. I wouldn't be surprised if this thing has a double bottom. Well, if it does pull back, I would be waiting for here for maybe another entry at maybe at 131. You know, maybe she'll do a hammer tomorrow of some sorts. Put it this way. The risk at this point, as long as you don't load up the boat with it, the rewards versus risk may be worth it. Set a stop loss, figure out what you're willing to lose, and divide it by the number of pennies, and you'll have an idea whereabouts you should get out at this point, or divide it by the number of stocks, and then you'll have an idea how many pennies you got to put your stop loss at, because, you know, don't go heavy. You know, you have an opportunity here, I believe, and I'm not telling you to get in, by the way. I'm telling you what my game plan is. I'm waiting for tomorrow for an opportunity for this thing to either she'll do a double bottom and she'll pick right back up, and then I'll buy a small portion. I'm waiting. If it pulls back hard and then we hit this 127 area, then I might go in maybe a little bit harder at that point, and as she picks back up, I'll buy some more. But I do like the area. The band is so tight. We're talking about a low of $1.24 and a high of $1.45. I mean, and you're not even getting a $1.45. I take that back. We're talking a low of $1.35 and a low of the Bollinger Band of $1.24. And the reason I'm saying that is because chances are, if she ends up coming back down here, not necessarily tomorrow, but over the course of the week, and ends up breaking this Bollinger Band, well, chances are it'll keep dropping. Your next area of support, as you can see, is around that $1.20 here, $1.17, $1.20. I don't really want to go that low. So if I do get an entry here tomorrow at this point, if she ends up crossing down below $1.30, I might jump out. Other than that, I do like the stock and where it's positioned at this specific time. And I was telling the trader that I like that after this, initial breakout here, she came back and, tried to break below Bollinger Band. Volume picked up, went back up and retested the top of the band, and this is like our first pullback from that initial breakout. So I like the fact that it's our first pullback, and the fact that we're at the 20, at the 50. I think this is a beautiful spot for this stock. Like I said, prepare yourself when the next move is going to be a nice one. All right. Other than that, I'm going to jump into the Dow Jones Transport Average. I've been telling you guys for a long time, I want to see the transports up. Transports are kind of like our leading indicator as to what's taking place around the USA. Transports are down. It's not good. Transports are up. Yeah, things are rocking and rolling. So after this brief area, well, not so brief, it was essentially from first week of December till finally now we're having it turn around. Yesterday wasn't even a launch. Today is officially the launch. I believe so. Now, after you just heard me speak about the Bollinger Band, can you see what the heck is happening here on the screen? Oh, yeah. Funnel vision. So the next move is going to be a doozy. I believe so. And everything is positioned just perfect here. As you can see here, she came back and retested that band. That gave us this level here, not at RSI 7. We came back down here, retested the same lows again. We're at a higher low here on that RSI 7. And now she's just turning. So, yes, looking good. Fast stochastic, you can see that that last dip actually was right here. And then she's launched off. Beautiful. Not Bollinger Band, but the MACD histogram clearly show you from roughly January the 3rd, selling momentum had started to dwindle every trading session, I should say. And now she's about to cross the zero threshold. Beautiful entry. You got yourself some solid support there around this 9,014. So if you play this one on the mini ticker, it's basically the same stop loss on that one too, and it's looking good, guys. I believe we're going to have this the Trump rally here. Here we go, Trump rally. We're going to call it the Trump rally. Well, it's part of the Trump rally. I mean, there were my Trump trades, and my Trump trades are going to be a continuation of this this of a rally, I believe, because I've said that before. Every time you have this consolidation, it's good. And now you have the consolidation and tightening of the Bollinger Bands. Watch out. They're all going to be shocked. It's like, holy shit, it just popped. All right. Or it dropped. Oh, I hope not. It could go back and retest the 50-day moving average there at 89.21, but let's hope not. At this point, that's not what I'm seeing on the charts. Looking positive, I think, after this consolidation. So Dow Jones Industrial Average. And what do we have this? Oh, look at the Bollinger Bands. I mean, I've just spoke to you folks about the tightening of the bands. This was an entire consolidation period here. Hanging tight. Volume today looking good. Same thing on histogram. Almost identical story here. Fast stochastic looking good. Looking good. Yeah. Dow Jones almost at 20,000. And they were telling you what? I don't know if you remember that, but just a few months ago, they were telling you the Dow Jones was going to go down to, was it 3,000 or 8,000? Sorry. Well, they failed that one. Who was it predicting that one? Does anybody recall? I think it was Peter Schiff, was it not? Oh boy, I'm just so sick of it on YouTube. It's so full of these disinfo people that it's hard to get a true story from, or a true economic outlook from anyone on YouTube. They are so, it doesn't make sense to me. I'm a high school dropout, never even finished high school for heaven's sakes. And here I am, taught myself technical analysis by hunting down a large range of videos. By the way, if you haven't heard that, the video format, the video lessons I teach or I share with you folks, they're all videos that I've went down and hunted down that are, some of them are as old as 7 years old. And the reason why is because back then on YouTube, there was less of a money hungry scamming community. I know it sounds awful, but I'm telling you, this is what I've witnessed. Back then, there wasn't that type of money hungry scamming community. And the people that made videos on technical analysis and stuff they were honest. They had good info. There wasn't a sales pitch in every damn video is what I'm getting at, really. Okay, I'm not saying none of the other ones didn't have good info, but a lot of it was just like sales pitch after sales pitch. It gets disgusting, especially when you're trying to learn something. So I filtered down all those videos, edited them, took all the blah, 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 and just left the juice for you traders or all new traders that want to learn how to read these charts. So yes, S&P 500, same damn chart. Take a look at it. Same darn chart. Histogram looks a little cleaner on this one. Stochastic, she's already up here at 86. Okay, and let's go to index. Ooh, looking good. So yeah, she did her consolidation here, and she's already left. Yes. She has left. Houston, we have liftoff. Now, the only candle I can't see was yesterday's, but I don't think that's a big problem. She's looking good. All right, so I got to wrap this up here. Let's go to Brent. All right, same thing on the Brent, guys. Consolidation. Nice volume today. Looking good. So at this point, same thing. I would take it. I know it sounds terrible when I say it, but it is. And, there's nothing guaranteed in life. There's nothing guaranteed. And it's the same thing with trading. You're never 100% sure it's going to go that way. It always is a little bit of a gamble. So, the difference is you can manage that gamble. You don't have to sell the whole farm. So, if you get in this thing, I would set my stop loss here. You've got some support around that 53.83, 53.73 area. The only thing that doesn't look good is a fast stochastic. But, she does have that support. And if she was to turn around and, break out of this consolidation area, this would be a good entry point, anything down around this area. So I'll leave it up to you guys, but other than that, Brent is looking good. And from the numbers that I got from Brent here today, it doesn't look terrible, to be honest with you. You know, it's a year on year demand, and we are up from last year, so that's important. The other key factor, histogram, roughly exactly the same. The only thing positive I can see here is that, you know, she hit the bottom here and she's crossed over, so there is still a potential for her. And as long as she can hold in this band also, you know, she hasn't broken down. This seems to be her area of support. So, you know, if you do get in there, maybe use the bottom of this candle. That was a low of 53.70. And if she breaks there, chances are she's going to keep tumbling, and she'll probably come right back down to that 51.48, retest the 50-day moving average. And that would work out well with this area of support that she has from way over here, right? I hope you can see that. Other than that, though, I believe that this was just a consolidation. The sell-off volume was not extreme, nothing near to what like took place over here. And this, I believe, is just a consolidation, getting rid of the weak hands as she prepares herself for her next leg up here. Okay, so WTIC. Okay, folks, you can go ahead and leave your comments if you have any stocks. I'll go over them very shortly. I'm just about done here. I got to do some gold and silver. And okay, we have the histogram bar is shorter on the WTIC. So I believe, yes, same thing as I just said on the previous chart. I believe this thing may be bouncing right here. This is a double bottom here. So there is some good support at this level. If you look way over on the left-hand side here, this is an area of support. All right. Set your stop loss at the bottom of that candle. And it was what again? Before I leave, that was a low of 50.75. Okay, so gold. Okay, wow, looking good. I mean, it looks like when you look at these Bollinger Bands, she's looking like she's about to blast off. I kid you not, folks. It's looking bullish. Holy jumping! So the big one here was 1280 or 1180. Broke through that one. Obviously, 1200 is going to be an area of resistance, and it's looking good. I have to admit, I'm kind of surprised. I didn't think it would go that high. I thought she'd break down around that 1180, and that's not what I'm seeing here at this point. So why is everyone jumping into gold? Well, I believe it's just that seasonal effect, and the fact that we just had a nice hard sell-off heading into the slowest time of the year, which is late December. There's not many stackers usually looking to buy gold in the month of December, simply because what? Yeah, Santa Claus is just around the corner, and guess who's paying for all that stuff? That's right, the stacker himself. So December is usually not a very hot month for stackers, and we got, I believe, was just a little oversold. So when will I feel bullish and believe that we've jumped track and we're going somewhere else? If we can get back over here and break that 1300, yeah, I believe it, but I don't think that's going to happen. This was a fear trade, and the fear is left the station. I don't know. I just don't see it anywhere at this point. So let's see if I could find something else that might give me a little bit more of an indication. This might be overbought. Yep. You can see the momentum every time it hits these peaks, right? And then the next peak is a little bit lower, and then the next peak is a little bit lower. I don't know if you saw that. So here's the first peak. You can see there's a little bit of space between the next rise up. And if you see now on this following rise up, it's not as high as the previous rise. assuming the candle ends here, of course, but I believe she's running out of gas. She's running out of steam already. Where you may get that steam back in that locomotive is if she can break over the 1200. Yeah, it could definitely draw some more players back into the arena, some more stackers. So where would your next area of resistance be? Let's back up in time and take a look at it. Right there, around that 12 area. 12-18 area, you can see. And I'm using, I always go back here, folks. I take a look here where the stock has risen, or it's had some, a hard time, some support. At this case, it was support here, but on that, at this point, she's going to have a hard time because she's coming back up to that old area of support. So at first, it acts as support, okay? Even on the way down, it acted as support. And now that you fell below it, it acts as resistance. So that's why I'm not putting my pennies into this one. I just don't think this is going to go anywhere. To try and drag people into gold and silver, normally you need some type of you need some bad news. That's what I was telling you folks a couple of shows back. If we can get a war or something like that, something really negative, then possibly, yeah. But at this point here, don't be surprised if we end up with a shooting star at some point. Yeah. Silver. Okay, silver, she had a hard time right at the 50-day moving average. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I believe there's a squeeze coming up here on silver. I don't think it's quite yet, but what I had noticed was the MACD. Let me pull this up here. Honestly, this looks good for you stackers at this point, and that was the MACD. So we hit, it looks like there's a divergence on this at this point, and it started somewhere around here. So we'll have to see how this ends up. If this curls right back down underneath, then it's not going to be good. But at this point, if we can get a closing and another leg up, that'll be the beginning of a convergence. They're converging on each other. The price is dropping lower and the MACD's going higher. Very good here. At some point, that should make the price turn around, unless this is the point right here. Because I have to admit it, right at this point, there was a divergence. But on the MACD, the only thing I could see was the bottom. We'd hit a lower bottom right here, and that matched up with this one. And then we hit a lower bottom right here, and it didn't match up right here. So we had a little bit of a rally up to this area, and that's why I think she's going to fade at this point. I don't think you're going to get much higher. And we use that past resistance here, that 1718 area, where the stock has had a hard time, even right where she is right now. This was an area of support the first time she got up here. And then you can see she fell back down twice. Boom, 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 and then finally broke below it. And I believe that's what's going to end up happening here. Before you know it, will most likely be lower. All right, so I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going to go look at the comments and see if we have any stocks here. And Karim, hey, how you doing? Greetings from snowy Ireland. Hey, Richmond, how you doing? Richard, sorry. The healthy market needs corrections. Yeah. Well, we've had 3 big corrections. First 8 months of trading the stock market, my first 8 months of trading the stock market, I saw 3 stock market crashes. Yeah. Anyway, so we've had our corrections. You don't think they threatened his life? Who? Trump? No, I don't think so. If they threaten Trump's life, he's going to get on Twitter. We'll all know about it. Okay, so I bought some more JNUG at 670. What's your take? Okay, I'll take a look at that one for you. Mad Cow, hello friend. What about MT? Okay, I'll take a look at that in a second, guy. Let's start off with his NUG. Oh, yeah, she's... Well, there's a divergence right there, eh? So, yeah, this is looking good. You see that MACD divergence? We came down lower right here. Your MACD is higher at this point. Looking good, but I still believe she has some resistance. So I'm not willing, and again, the MACD is not a guaranteed... it's not guaranteed, but I must admit, most of the time it is correct. But even so far as I've watched it now since 2014, it's failed me probably about 3-4 times. My big call using the MACD alone was the Uri call, and that day I was mentioning at 98 cents. It had a big divergence or convergence that had been taking place. The price was dropping lower, and the MACD was going in the opposite direction, which is essentially what started happening right here. We dropped lower, and then we've been going lower ever since. And now she's popped up, and I still think this is running out of gas. You can see the highs here as every time she broke out a little higher. So to be safe, if you want to put your stop losses, I would use today's low here, because if I'm not mistaken, she had a doji. Yeah, she had a doji the day before, but she ended up green, so most likely a green day tomorrow, but that's not guaranteed. And I would use my the bottom of that doji as my stop loss, or actually 753. Yeah, perfect spot, because that's where the candle all began after the gap up at 753. So I would use the bottom on that candle here, which was a low of 753. So I'd put my stop loss at 751, for example. Give it a bit of leeway, maybe even 750. But that's how we would play that one. Okay, MT. Oh, I don't got that stock. No, I can't play it on here. I can't read it, guy. Sorry. Okay, any other comments? Evening, sir. Hope you're well. Yes, I'm doing fine. Gold is rising because golden is trending because of Trump. Is rising because golden is trending because of Trump. I don't know. It doesn't make much sense to me, but maybe they're all getting into gold because the queen looks dead almost. Okay, that was a funny one. They're getting into gold because the queen looks dead almost. My feed is super blurry. Is Goldman doing a silver chart at the moment? Yes. Thank you for the truth, sir. No problem. I'm doing a feed, and hopefully it wasn't blurry. All right, folks, I'm going to say goodnight now, and hope to see you out here on Friday. If you'd like to contact me, cd1 at connectingdots1.com. I'm out here 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Mountain time, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Sorry, I got distracted. All right, so I'll see you folks later. Have yourself a great week of what's left of the week, and I'll catch you on Friday. Take care.